Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon.
How's it going? I'm Christine and this is Anya, and we are going live today to talk to you about building your boundaries within your business. We are here to help you strategize and make more money, bring more freedom into your life, and build a business that you really, really enjoy. We're both studio owners here in Toronto and loving what we do, and we want to share our secrets to building a happy business with you.
Absolutely. Among that, we are branding and marketing coaches for solopreneurs, salon suite owners, maybe you're a basement hairstylist, that's all good, working from home. Anybody who needs support, we're here for you.
So we are live here on Instagram as well as Facebook. Facebook's a little bit clearer, so if you've got our beauty business culture page, you can watch on the Facebook. It will be up as a replay after this, both on Instagram and Facebook as well, if you don't have time to catch the whole episode.
Yep, these always live here. They'll always be here on our Facebook. Hi, Julia.
Yay, Julia's here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. So let's hop and get into it. Christine actually had a wonderful, this was Christine's idea, but we vibe off each other. So I feel like we both kind of were needing this sort of live. What we want to talk about is setting boundaries within your business.
So boundaries are basically the parameters that you work around within your business. You basically need to decide the most important things to you in your life, and then you're going to make rules within your business that are going to help direct your clients as to what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. When we do not have boundaries, we start feeling stretched too thin, we start feeling overwhelmed, we start feeling exhausted and resentful. So if you feel any of those emotions, that's literally your body and your brain telling you that you need to make changes.
I mean, sometimes this can feel like you just want to throw in the towel, you want to quit, like you don't want to do your job anymore. And that actually might not be, that might not be it at all. And it usually isn't. Any time that for me I've said, okay, I've had enough, I don't want to do this anymore. If I really took a close look at my lifestyle, my choices, the boundaries that I was setting within my business, I would very quickly see that I was creating a life that was making me feel trapped. Right? There's a total difference, and we talk about boundaries. I like to view them as commitments that we make to ourselves, that we're not willing to bend or compromise for anybody. And I think the more we solidify those boundaries and solidify those commitments, the more confident we feel in ourselves, the more fulfilled we feel, and the more and more we prove to ourselves that if we create boundaries or we create commitments to ourselves, then nothing goes away, and in fact life improves.
Yeah. And none of us got into doing hair so that we could hate our lives, right? We're all artists, we're all creative, and we tend to be a little bit on the emotional side in this industry. So we have an issue with making others upset or bringing people, into a state of a little bit of like upsetness in our businesses, right? Because we don't want our clients to yell at us or confront us. So we tend to say yes when we're pressured into something.
Hello, Instagram.
Awesome. I'm glad to see some people are checking this out.
This is awesome. Train of thought, because my train of thought got lost because I get so excited when people join. Boundaries. Oh, okay. Go ahead, because I'm
okay. So when we want to set boundaries in our life, we need to consider our why. So when you started a business and you started bringing in income, what was the reason behind what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing? And a lot of people will say like, oh, I'm here because I need to make money. But what is the reason behind why you need to make money? Is it because you want to give your house or your family a nice home to live in? Is it because you need to take vacations with your family and friends? What is the real physical reason behind why you want to do your job? Okay, because if you're not happy at work and you don't know what your why is, then you need to really do some delving into why you're doing your business, because it's like you basically need to set specific boundaries around why you're doing what you're doing, right?
Yeah, so let's say, you started doing aesthetics, you started doing hair because you were passionate about it, and you were passionate about this one area of your business. For instance, I am really passionate about uplifting people, and I'm really passionate about doing blondes, and I'm really passionate about doing bridal. When I step outside of that passion, if I set the boundary, okay, like these are the things I want to do, these are the things that make me happy, and in turn make other people's happy. If I break that boundary, I'm quickly going to see a decline in my motivation to do the thing that I love.
Yeah.
Because I'm out of alignment, essentially.
Well, yeah, alignment is key. So if you listen to what your gut is telling you, you'll generally know exactly what direction you need to go, because your gut is going to give you that red flag feeling when you're entering an area that doesn't suit you, right? And there is a difference between being undereducated in something and really just not enjoying it.
Yeah.
I truly believe that you bring the most money in when you're doing something that you feel really passionate about, and that brings you a lot of happiness, because that energy resonates with your clients. It resonates throughout the salon and your room. If you're constantly under like a lot of pressure, even with time, right? A lot of people try to work on such a tight timeline that it's hard to enjoy what you're doing anymore. So selecting things that you really, really enjoy and pushing those out into the world through your social media, through limiting your service list, and then also really like taking the right amount of time to do things so that you are not feeling so much pressure at work. Those are two different things that I really feel strongly about in terms of building boundaries for myself. I often have people come in and ask me that I'll do a keratin treatment or a chemical straightener on them, or once in a while someone will say, oh, I'd really like to have a perm. And the first thing is I say is that I'm not your person. I'm a colorist. I specialize in lifting colors. Those are the things that I really enjoy doing. Could I do a perm? Do I know how to do one? Yeah. Do I know how to do a keratin treatment? Yes, I do. But for me, my health is my priority, and I don't want to be offering a service that I feel is exposing me to chemicals that I'm not happy to be around. So that is a boundary for me in my business.
Perfect. Exactly. So your why. So your why is I want to be healthy and I want to not put myself at risk. So I'm not going to offer these services. So Christina and I went through and we really thought about some scenarios in business that, and even in life where you might like experience a breakdown in your boundaries. So some of these popular things might look like, and this is the first one that comes to mind for me, text messaging, direct messaging from clients.
Oh my God, yeah.
Some of you, and we discussed this, some people are actually okay with this and they really don't mind. But I would challenge you to think, you may be okay with it, but is your husband, your significant other, is somebody on the next to you rolling their eyes every time you grab your phone and are just, it's time to make dinner with your spouse and you're like, just a minute, I need to answer this. That boundary, like for me, is very important. I know that I am not always great at keeping that boundary with my clients, but it is such an important one. And I often find myself speaking to new solopreneurs and kind of saying, oh, you're just at the beginning. It's okay. Like you can let it slip. Yeah. But you have to remember that we teach people how to treat us. So if you're teaching your clients that they can message you at 2 a.m, 5 p.m. when you're preparing dinner, then they're always going to do that. And when you create if you create that expectation, it's really hard to break it, right? So then later on, when you're like, oh, no, we can't do this, they're going to wonder, oh, well, this was okay before. Why is it okay, not okay any longer?
It becomes very confusing to the client, right?
Yeah.
Your utmost priority should be the people that you live with, your children, your husband, your significant other. If your marriage is breaking down because you're constantly on your phone and you're not like being present with your family, your friends, people that are actually directly in front of you, they're going to start resenting you. So just be aware of how they're reacting and be cognizant of your behaviors at home after work hours.
As humans, we want immediate gratification and we want what we can grab right away. So you might be getting, why are you responding to those text messages? Is it a fear? Is it a fear that you have that if I don't respond, they're going to leave me, they're not going to be there, they're going to book with somebody else? What is worse, losing this valuable, amazing relationship? You might not lose that relationship with your husband, your kids, or you might not miss out on that right now, but compounded over time, you're missing out on a lot to gain something immediate, like, oh, great, I booked another appointment. Awesome, money in the bank.
Yeah. You're going into a deficit. You're gaining money and you're going into a love deficit with your family.
Yes.
Right?
So that's how we talk about having the quadrants and being clear of what's important,
Right.
what's the hierarchy of important things in your life. If family is number one, which for most of us, family is number one.
Yeah, does family come before money for you? Because if it does, you're always going to be prioritizing your family.
Then the choice should always be, I work on Tuesdays from 9 to 5. It's 5:30. I'm with my spouse. Phone goes off, phone goes away.
Yeah.
And if you can't, if you can't set the boundary, maybe the phone needs to go in a drawer, it needs to be left in a purse.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
when you think about it, I mean, things have really, really changed because initially salon businesses would have set hours and the receptionist would only be there from 9 to 6 or whatever, answering the phone.
yeah,
If you called beyond those hours, you left a message and didn't expect a response until the following business day. Not
Yeah.
even just the weekend, but the business day. So
yeah. And did they call
people-
back and book anyways? Yeah, they did.
yeah, of course. And that's what people were used to. So if they get used to having those boundaries, like the phone just rings off the hook if it's Saturday at 3 p.m. because you're off, or your Sunday or your Monday, clients will start to understand that they have to call you during your business hours. The one thing that's really working for me is my online business or online booking portal.
Yeah.
Because I can leave a voicemail on my phone directing people to where they can get their questions answered, kind of leading us to talk about the importance of making sure that the information is available on your website.
Yes.
Because if you don't have information available, people are constantly going to have questions. Some of them being the same question over and over.
Yeah.
Like, how much is a balayage?
All the questions all the questions that I receive from clients, if they text message me, if they send me a message on Instagram, it's, can I get an appointment outside your working hours? Because they can't find something on my on my
In your
booking
book.
system. Okay, so the answer is no. If it's not there, it
Not
doesn't
there.
exist anywhere.
Yeah.
2, how much does something cost? What else do they ask? Those are the 2 main ones,
Mhm.
honestly.
How long will it take?
How long will it take?
Yeah.
All these things can be answered on my website.
Yeah.
All of them can be answered on my website or my booking system. So Christina and I discussed, you should have, how do you respond to clients? Like, we really believe that you should have, we call them canned messages, or maybe they're templates. They can be in your notes and you can write something up that you can send to
Mhm.
every single client
Mhm.
when they message you. A link to your website, your email address where you would like to be contacted, where you will respond
Right.
to them, and then a list of your set hours. I think that's also something that as solopreneurs we don't tend to do. I know a lot of the people here, I see them here around the clock all the time. You will always see Christine and I here at the same times
Mhm.
all the time. I have set hours there on my Google,
And when we're done, we are gone.
and when we're done, we're done.
Mhm.
And so I can safely, in my response, say, and these are the days that I work, and this is when you can reach me, and this is when I'll be available to do appointments. If there's nothing within those, check back. We can put you
Right.
on a wait list.
If you're having an issue with your hours or the amount that you're working, or your level of burnt outness, have a discussion with your employer, because at the end of the day, your employer does not want you to leave. Your clientele is at their salon. If they're unwilling to negotiate these types of things with you, like what time you stay till, or if you take clients after hours, then you need to start thinking about if where you're working is the right place for you. Luckily for Anya and I, we're in a really privileged situation where we own our own studios. We make our own boundaries, we make our own hours and everything like that. We realize not all of you are going to be in a situation where you can just actively go on your schedule and change your hours. But if you're working for someone, it's time to have a discussion about those types of things and the
Yep.
importance of them.
If you're being double booked by, I know that we speak to solopreneurs, but there's a lot of you out there who are actually working in hair salons, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you feel a lot of pressure from your employer, right? Because often our employer is now on, they're running the business and they might not be behind the chair. So they forget how difficult it can be to work.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know some people are working 10 hours, and that's an expectation that their employer has of them without any breaks.
Yeah.
That is not sustainable. That
No.
is only conducive to burnout.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who are, and if you cannot comfortably have that conversation, you're either due for a price increase so you can charge more, do less. It's often many of us, or you need to sweat, you make a change.
Yeah.
And if you're that busy that you're working 10 hours solid without a break, chances are you're ready to move forward.
Yeah.
You're operating from fear. So if you're not moving on and maybe doing something like this, you're a little bit scared, and that's something else you might want to think about working on.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes there's going to be clients that are going to question our pricing.
Yes.
Right? There's always that, oh, well, this week I didn't really get as much of my paycheck as I hoped. Like, can we get a little bit of a discount on our haircut this time? My boyfriend broke up with me. Sometimes people don't even actively ask you, but they kind of like give you that vibe that they're like, oh, your haircut's like that much now. And your answer should always be yes, with confidence. I bump my prices up about $5 each year if I am steady and I'm busy. And I know that some people are going to comment on that. I'm not going to take it personally. It's just a reflection of like what they're willing to spend on their hair, but that is okay. And I confidently say, yes, my haircut is now $90.
And where does that price live? That price has to live somewhere. It has to live on a menu, possibly it could live on a menu on your desk. It could like on your counter. It could live as a menu on your website. It's
crystal clear.
It's crystal clear. It is there. It is. I think that is very important. Like setting that boundary. That boundary has been set. It's not some price you just like pulled out of your back pocket and said, oh, today it's going to be this much. If it's constantly and consistently the same price without any discounts, that is the price that it is. And I think that just solidifies that boundary, having it written somewhere. I mean, this will be another live, but the importance of a website, of a landing page, of an information page are very important. But that just lets people know.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us to talking about cancellations. So, I mean, we're in a world of booking clients. Stuff happens. Sometimes people cancel. But a lot of people do not realize that when they don't show up for an appointment, that you're out that money. So I think it's really, really important to set boundaries surrounding cancellations and how much time are you comfortable with in terms of hearing about someone not showing up. So for me, it's 24 hours. I am tempted to switch that to 48 hours because I find a lot of people will wait till that 24-hour mark to like cancel their appointment. Yeah. Still very difficult to fill that spot in that limited amount of time.
Yeah.
And then setting a fee for having canceled outside of your parameters. So if someone does not show up for an appointment or they do not give enough notice, setting a fee to reschedule. I call it a rescheduling fee. If you'd like to get back on my books, it's going to be X amount of dollars before I can book you. Sometimes they have a credit card on file. Sometimes they'll do an e-transfer to just settle it up ahead of time. It doesn't need to be done in the salon. There's ways of having them pay you that money before they actually go online or call and book their next appointment. But very, very important, because I hear a lot of people talking about how many cancellations they get. And basically what that tells me is that you're not making it clear to your clients what your cancellation policy is. Yeah. And then you're really not being fair to yourself. So
why should you be out? Your income, your livelihood. I've had moments where, depending on what you're doing, it's a beautiful sunny day. So the sun is just shining on us.
I look like I'm luminous.
Yeah. But I mean, I've been out $300, $400 because of a cancellation. I know you'll usually do $25. You'll tag it on to their next appointment. And have you lost people?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's times when people have not paid the price, they've gone somewhere else, but what does that tell me? If it's not worth it to them to pay the $25 fee or $50 fee, then they're probably not the right client for my salon.
And they don't respect your time.
Exactly. Which leads me to say that, if they're unwilling to pay that amount, then they would probably be a person who would consistently cancel appointments. I have given a few, like if someone has a funeral, someone passes away, their mother's in the hospital dying, there are things that like I will grant them a pass. It's usually a one-time pass, but you'll notice that the people that get the one-time pass are usually the people that pull it again in the future. And that's when you're like, nope, sorry, unfortunately, I'm going to have to charge you this percentage or this amount.
So how do you ask them? Like, how do you navigate through that? Because I know a lot of people are wondering. We could say and go, oh yeah, well, How do you do it?
Right. So when they come into my salon as a first-time client, I actually have a sheet that they fill out where they sign and agree to my cancellation policy before I start any services on them. So if it were to come up later, it would be that, you know, it was written in our guidelines for the salon. You did sign your name and agree to our policy. And unfortunately, this is the repercussion of not having shown up for your appointment.
Yeah, and I mean, and that is honestly, that we didn't talk about this, but that is a great way of actually setting boundaries for you and for your client. For instance, me and Christine both have intake forms, and I'm sure like Julia's here with us. She's an esthetician. She's providing services that could be high risk. You want people to consent. You want consent, and not just consent for you to provide the service, but an outline, right? So mine, I even ask, is it okay if I post a video or if I post pictures of you on Instagram? That is a boundary for the client. Additionally, adding to that, you know, things can happen during this process that may, you know, especially if you're in a situation like for us, it's variables that may not be predictable 100% of the time. People are not always honest with the services they've received before, with what's going on with their hair, and you need to protect yourself.
Yes. Yeah, boundaries equal protection, really. At the end of the day, you are setting a protective layer on your business so that if something does come back at you, you have a bit of like, you know, something to prove that you were aware of, or they were aware of the things that they agreed to. So encourage your clients to make sure they read the fine print, essentially. It should be on your website. It should be on your client intake form. They should be able to access information very, very clearly.
Me, it's a deposit. It's a $50 deposit to book an appointment. It is non-refundable if you don't give me 48 hours. If you give me 48 hours notice, then I will refund you your $50 deposit. Otherwise, I keep it. And
it's prepaid as well, right?
It's prepaid. And some people say, well, I don't feel comfortable giving my credit card information and having you take $50 out of my credit card. First of all, it's done through Square. It's reputable. It's not some sort of scam. And you know what? My boundary is I don't feel comfortable booking a $350 appointment and giving you 4 hours of my precious time without some sort of guarantee that you will be there.
Yeah.
Right?
Other businesses do it all the time.
Why do we not feel like, and I feel so strongly about that because it's my time. It is more valuable than $50. Believe me. If I'm guaranteeing you 3.5 hours of my time, even 2 hours of my time, that costs way more than $50 to me. But you know, I'm almost doing you a favor by only taking $50. But it guarantees me something in return for that.
Right.
And I think we feel bad, and we shouldn't feel bad. I feel confident. I feel good, and I never whimper away from it. I'm always like, no, this is what it is. And my cancellations are like, they don't exist. People do not cancel their appointments with me.
Very seldom.
It's a back of the mind. You know, because I found for me, like, if I tried to take it later, I either would lose out completely. So this was the best way.
Yeah, I agree. And it kind of filters out clients right off the bat. So for me, a new guest experience is booked under a different category. That does take a $50 deposit to book. It eliminates any clients that are uncomfortable. They're not necessarily going to book that appointment, but that basically tells me that I'm getting the right type of person into my salon. It might repel someone, and that's totally fine, but the clients I am getting are definitely the clients that I want to be seeing. Right? They're respectful of my time right off the bat. So we want you to do a little bit of homework today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We want you to reflect on why you're doing what you're doing in your business. Why, you know, what is the reason behind what you do? And then set 3 to 5 boundaries for yourself within your life and your business. So they can be things like before I go to work, I walk my dog, or I go to the gym 3 days a week, or it could be something like I need to set a cancellation policy for my business. It could be anything that either makes you feel anxious or makes you resentful about what you're doing in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, what really works is scheduling things in the calendar. So if currently you do not have set hours of work, so you're working all over the place, this week, truly look, what would be what would be an ideal schedule for you? And I wouldn't just do it based on, see, for me, I do it like, okay, on this day, I want to go to yoga at 5:30. So that's my favorite yoga class. I'm only going to work till 5 so I can make it for 5:30. And that is like, I am never going to waver from that. That is a priority in my life. My why is I really prioritize my mental health and my physical health.
As we all should, especially as people that work physically.
Yeah. So first, make a list of the values in your life. Health, family, work may be on there, spirituality and faith, and create your work around those things, because those are the things outside of your work that are really going to fill your cup.
Right.
So it's going to be create hours, create pricing, like consistent pricing. And if you want to know how, Christine and I, well, for hairstyles, you should at least be making, if your haircut is, let's say, $50 an hour, $50, and it takes you an hour, all your services should equate to $50 an hour. So if you're providing a 3-hour service, you should be making $150.
Great. Get uncomfortable, right? Yeah. It's gonna be a little bit awkward sometimes telling people that you're not going to go to an event, or you're not going to be able to offer them that slot after your working hours, or that they're going to have to pay you that that fee that, because they canceled their appointment after a 24-hour cancellation policy was up. It's going to feel awkward.
Yeah.
It's always going to feel awkward. But it's called self-respect, and you have to be able to voice what you need to say without being rude, and then not taking it personally if they do get somewhat upset, because it's just reflective of the fact that they feel a little bit guilty that they made the wrong decision. It's not usually you. It's usually something that, for them, maybe they've made more than one mistake and they feel a little bit awkward about it. Also, getting over the fear of missing out on things. A lot of people say they're yes people. They say yes to everything. I see it all the time in my clientele, where they're like running around like crazy people all week long. They're exhausted from work, but they're like, oh, I have a dinner with friends on Friday, and then my family's coming over Saturday, and then Sunday I've got, a baby shower, and then a baptism later on in the afternoon. And like, they're telling me they're exhausted. They're telling me they're not happy about how their weekend is about to go. In that, right, you're not being authentic with people. You're not prioritizing your own mental health, your own physical health, your own family. And to be honest, I feel like anyone who's really close to me understands when I need to step back a little bit. They know me well enough to know it's not personal against them. It's just, that's a boundary that I have.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what are you going to gain from this, guys? By creating boundaries, we find that creativity starts to flow a little bit better, because you're not unhappy with what you're doing in that moment. You're not going to feel resentful. So you're not going to be going into work wishing you weren't. You're going to be going into work excited and looking forward to seeing your clients and doing their hair. You're going to be less stressed overall. So it's going to be reflective in your marriage and your relationships with your friends, with other people, because you're actually a little bit more happy, authentically happy, and that people will learn to work around your priorities. They will.
Yeah.
I know
totally.
that you have a dog and you need to go home and walk your dog, and that you need to like go to the gym, and that's like going to come before BBC, because you prioritize your health.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
I totally respect that.
Absolutely. And I know you have kids and you have a husband, and you got to get home and you got to do those things. And I respect that. And I know that so well. It's like, I know the times that Christine is putting her kids to bed, and I'm not going to get a response from her.
Yeah.
And we just know these things, and I'm not offended by it whatsoever. And I never find myself at a loss, because they're just clear boundaries that Christine sets for herself, the priorities that she has in her life. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's a difference between, putting up walls, so saying, I don't want to do the service because I'm scared, or like, I don't want to have these relationships with these people because it makes me nervous. Walls close people off, and boundaries allow the right people in.
Yeah.
And the right things, the right activities, the right everything. So it creates, actually, boundaries sound so, it actually creates freedom. It's the opposite, right? It just creates freedom in your life for you to have a balanced life.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So I think this is about time that we wrap this up. We're going on literally 29 minutes and 34 seconds. We are right on the 30-minute mark, which I'm really happy about. But the last thing I want to say is that as your life changes, your boundaries also need to change. So we want you revisiting these boundaries every 6 months, every year, sometimes even more frequently than that, because new things come into your life. Maybe you had a baby, maybe you're in a new relationship, maybe you've switched businesses or you're working for someone else. You need to be constantly reevaluating, reassessing, and that's what's really going to keep this working for you.
Yeah, don't just think about it. Like, sit down and actually do it.
I change things about my business all the time. When it's not working for me anymore, it's going to change.
You know what? This month, next month, March, me and Christine are taking every Tuesday off because we created a boundary. Hair is really important to us, but BBC is especially important to us. So both of us in our calendars, we have every other Tuesday blocked off. It's not just something I said I'm going to do. Yeah. It lives in my calendar, and it's a boundary that is always in place there, and it will be for the next 3 months, and who knows what will happen in the next 3 months. But it's always changing, and it's evolving as the needs in my life change as well.
I kind of feel like I'm sitting on the beach in Mexico.
I know, me too. I feel really, really good. It's a beautiful day. Can't even tell it's the beginning of January.
It is Canada. It's January, but we hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Leave us comments in the boxes below. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what your questions are. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you have surrounding your business and the boundaries that you need to set for 2020. Don't forget, we also had a goal setting workshop that we ran at the end of 2019. If you go to beautybusinessculture.com/live-workshop, you can get our workbook there for that. We are going to try and hop on live on a regular basis for you guys. It's one of our goals for 2020 is to really start to get to know all of you. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.